You have prepared a report, Young People's Access to Fundamental Rights. What is the objective of your report?
The objective, in a sense, is a conclusion of a long process that began in 2011 when the Assembly recommended there should be a framework convention on youth rights. And this was rejected by the ministers, the Committee of Ministers, because they said it's okay, you just need access to what's already there. But we have looked at this, we've had a couple of very, very important youth assemblies, and the conclusion is no, there is a need for a gathering together of the rights that are fundamental to allowing young people to make that transition from childhood, where the Convention on the Rights of the Child are binding, to universal rights available to all adults, where you, in a sense, have to already believe to be empowered to demand those rights. So it's creating a group of rights that are just focused on youth's needs that will allow them to make that transition, to come over that rocky road from childhood to full adulthood. And this is a result, a recommendation which already contains another recommendation for a framework convention on youth rights.
What should be done to implement more effectively the young people's fundamental rights?
Well, back in 1985 was the first ministerial conference here that was on youth participation. And there's been quite a lot of youth participation in the European Youth Centre, which is on the hill, as I call it, above the Parliament. But not a lot of it has been involving the participation of young people in the actual process of decision making that will affect them. Laws are still made for them, like their children. So one of the things is to allow them to participate more, to allow them to organise themselves, to really be given an empowerment in that transition. The other one is to give them access to good education and good training, which of course is now being denied them because austerity means that it's mostly young people who are finding it more difficult to get into training courses or to get into employment. So it's trying to make in a sense, to answer the question that the young people often ask. If you've done such a very bad job as adults, why are you not letting us have our say on how you should do things, which might help us in the future? And it's all about that. It's about access to and support for them to be involved in youth organisations, cross-border youth organisations, to go and study in other places where they can develop intercultural understanding and contribute to the ideas of what is our society going to be like in the future. So in a sense it is access, but it's how do you make that access more real, more easy for the young people than it would be for, let's say, someone like myself or a mature adult who's expected already to have these skills. Now, some might say, well, that's us biasing things towards youth. And I think that's not a bad thing, because the reality is the impact of the recession. And we had a very good report on this called A Generation Sacrificed. It's the young people who are suffering from the failures of the old. And it's about time we gave more power, smoothing the path, if you like, guiding, helping, the bumpy road into adulthood, which is not available, we think, at this moment. And we know this because we see the facts, we see the young people suffering.